Hey guys, let's get started today. I want to introduce our speaker. His name is Ray Hall. He's the founder and director of Prison Book Project. Now, I just thought that was a great name. It just says exactly what he does. It's nice and simple. You know, if it had been me, I'd have been named as, you know, all these Christians looking to help prisoners by giving them books or something. But Ray boiled it down to a nutshell. Prison Book Project. Let's welcome Ray Hall.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your invitation. We got a pretty good crowd here.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've spoken to this a group like this, and I believe you got the other group beat. So put a feather in your hand.
We'll like it. Don't worry about it.
All right. Let me tell you a little bit about how we started. In 1994, I retired from Martin Marietta. In '78, I retired from the Air Force. And then after I retired from Martin Marietta, I really started working. If anybody's familiar with what they do out at the Cape and how they do things out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's one of those things where you do your job about 2 minutes and then wait 2 days for somebody else to do theirs. Anyway, I'm sitting on my patio and God recruited me to do this in August of '94. Started out with Clean Westerns. Clean Westerns, the good guy wins, the bad guy turns into buzzard bait, you know. And we all associate with the main character in books and movies that we read, you know, see. And that was a pretty good idea. I didn't agree with it until he showed me and proved to me that he had something going. And a lot of people say, yeah, that's crock. So take this factor into account. We started out with one jail with the goal of putting 1,000 books in that one jail. And with God behind the effort, we're now over 2,500 prisons and jails. We put out about 10 million books. Over 2,500 prisons and jails, and we sent stuff to 38 countries. The warehouse right now has about 160 tons of books in it. And we're sending books out as fast and furious as we can. The only restraint at this time is money. UPS refuses to carry stuff without getting paid.
I bet.
That's the thing that holds us down. Last year, we set a goal of one new place every week. That's 52 every year. We ended up with a year at 69 new places. We set the same thing this year, one new place every week. Yesterday, we put the 18th pen in the board.
Wow.
We drove the truck down here, so I didn't get a chance to bring the big board. But if you look at this map was, the picture was taken last October. There's a bunch of yellow pins here, and that was last year's pen, yellow. This year it's green. There's about 12 pins left over here. All those pins are up here, and 18 green pins. So with 18, well, about 30 more pins. So it's quite a bit. And this is prisons and jails. You got a lot of these pamphlets laying here. You can pick up one on your way out, or just pass them out, whatever you want to do. But it's got a railroad map in it. And it tells a little bit about what we do. You got a notebook? Teach me. You have to look. Jump back. When we started, we started in the Brevard County Jail. And we did some research. seems like, on average, every book that we place into the facilities will be read by 30 people. And the average reading time is 8 hours. So every book will do 240 man hours of ministry. That's like hiring a preacher to work 6 weeks, 40 hours a week in every book. That's a cheap preacher. So, the boxes we send out have an average of 65 books in the box. We use a standard size box. So you can imagine the ministry just in one box of books. It's about something like 400 years or something. Now, we're doing prisons and jails all over the country, all 50 states. A lot of places are difficult to get into. California's getting really hard, but some of the chaplains, and we try to send stuff to chaplains.
We're not taking off. Didn't listen.
Some of the chaplains, we're taking in the back door to get it into the facilities. That's how
Why
we
is
do
it hard to get into California, sir?
California is, y'all be careful. California is different. And people who run the government also run the prison system. And they're not, they were not really receptive to having Christian material in the facilities. That has changed. The guy who is the head of the prison chaplains, he's restricted to what he can do, but he's a gun-ho Christian. And we just made contact with him about 6 months ago, and he's opening up a lot of doors that were not open, that had been closed. Okay?
Well, let me ask you a question. I just want to ask you a quick question. I'm sorry, but I have to ask
Okay.
it. If Muslim and other interests can bring their literature in, why aren't there attorneys and lawyers out there to file actions? Of course, they've got the Ninth Court of Appeals there, but why aren't there Christians filing actions to see that the First Amendment is universally accepted?
Christians have a tendency not to get too vocal or too passionate about fighting. You know, that's my observation. I don't know that to be a fact. That's my observation. That's why, you know, they threw them in the lion's den and they got to eat up and got all kinds of stuff happening. We just don't fight. And there have been times in the history of the United States and the history of Christianity when we did fight. I remember a guy named Augustine, went up and hung a thing on the church house door, to start a whole new revelation, revolt. We just deal with it. God will open the doors. It started in '94. This August I'll be at it for 20 to 25 years. There have been doors that have closed on us, and we waited a little while. Those people left, died, whatever, and we opened the door again. It's happened thousands, not thousands, hundreds of times. We deal with that. It's nothing to get excited about, upset about, because it ain't my problem. It's God's problem. So I have to let God handle it.
Amen.
All right?
Amen.
So that's just the way it is. We got 38 different Christian publishers has sent material to us on pallets. 160 ton in the warehouse right now. We just got in 3 skids of Bibles from Thomas Nelson. And it's unbelievable. Those Bibles are just unbelievable. Leather bound, just absolutely beautiful stuff. Some of it, all kinds of different Bibles. We'll spend 3 days just sorting that stuff out. Those 3 skids is about 2.5 tons of Bibles. Yes, we already had 30 tons. Okay. But we the study Bibles that come in, we pick those things out and do special stuff with them, trying to. A lot of facilities have some people in there who are really seriously studying. So we try to get the study stuff into those kind of facilities. And it's a chore to do that. We got 2 volunteers now, loading boxes. The boxes weigh about 2 pounds, something like that. They come out about 40 to 45 pounds. And we're sending them out, daily. And, it costs money to do that. And we could sit here and talk for 3 days and not get all your questions, and not address all your questions. So as I talk, please put the note in your head to ask the question that you want answered. Okay, we'll get it later. That's the way it goes. What we try to do is build chapel libraries, put books into chapels, for chapel. We do send out to individuals where we can't get chapel cooperation or facility cooperation when they will allow us to send in to individuals, we do so. We'll send a package with four books in each place. And we got a lady that comes in on Tuesday, and she dominates the place, and we stay out of her way, because she'll run over you. and she'll do anywhere from 50 to 60 individual packages. Joyce goes through all the mail. It's my wife, Joyce, incidentally. God bless her, she puts up with it. This girl will do 50 to 60 packages every Tuesday to individuals. And that's really a very expensive way to get the word out. But if that's what it takes, that's what we'll do. It costs us a lot more to do it that way as opposed to sending boxes to check. But we're going to get that word in there one way or another, whichever way we can. This way it is. Can you think of anything else?
I want to clarify that it wasn't Thomas Nelson. It was the publisher was Tyndale.
Tyndall. What did I say? Thomas Nelson? I'm sorry. It's Tyndall House. Tyndall House Publishing. Thomas Nelson and Zondervan were 2 major Christian companies, and they sent over the years tons and tons and tons of books to me. And all of a sudden, they sold out to Scripps Howard. It's a secular company, and now they sell their surplus stuff, which is shooting themselves in the foot. What they do is sell it to book dealers. Book dealers pay $1 a piece for a Bible. They'll go online and sell it through eBay or Amazon or eBay, whatever, and they'll sell that book for $25. And Thomas Nelson's trying to sell the same thing online for $50. Don't make it a lick of sense, but that's the way it goes. Okay. They'll get $2,000 a skid to sell it to a book dealer or a dealer. It don't make any sense to me, but that's what they choose to do, and they stop selling stuff.
Does most of the prisons here in Florida have prison chaplains, like Brevard County has a prison chaplain?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. When we first started, it was just the Brevard County Jail. The goal originally was 1,000 books in 2 years. After 3 years, we got kind of carried away. We saw the results, and after 3 years, God told me to stop counting. I was keeping track in a book. I drew a line in my book, 39,886. The next day, I got 2 calls. One from a publisher I've been trying to get a Christian Western from. And he said, Mr. Hall, was a lady, he said, Mr. Hall, we got 20,000 books, do you want them? And a few minutes later, another call said, Mr. Hall, we got a pallet sitting here with 5,000 books on it, do you want it? And one day I had 25,000 books. So that we had to do something with them. So I sent 2 boxes to every prison and jail in Florida. And it just started marching across the country. That was in '97. By 2001, we delivered stuff to all 50 states. Sure.
are most important besides the word of Christ, and the gospel of Christ, as to, what books, you feel most valuable to change the lives of these people in prison? What books, aside from that target, what areas, including, for example, how to get a job, how to get some vocational training, or something else? Because I'm particularly concerned because I deal with homeless, like at the Cold Night Shelter, we have 3,000 homeless children, et cetera, and so a lot of that relates to people who are in jail and their kids and family are suffering.
Yeah.
And what is there anything that gives them clues as to how they can get their way out of where they are and get to something where they can make some dollars?
Let me cover, this opens up a whole new area, okay? When we first started, after about 3 weeks, well, when God told me how to do this, the chaplain wanted nothing to do with it. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I kept aggravating, and he finally turned me over to the programs office. We started out with Clean Westerns, okay? And I would pick up Christian books along the way. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, I was aggravating the chaplain. He turned me over to the programs office. Programs office takes care of the stuff other than Christian. And the chaplain, all he wanted, he didn't want Christian material. All he wanted was Bibles. And he said he had plenty of those. I guess Gideon were supplying Bibles to him. But he didn't want anything to do with the program. Incidentally, that same chaplain left here. He's now up in northwest Florida. And he calls me 3 or 4 times a year begging for the stuff. He changed his mind.
No, God changed his mind.
After we got going, when I went down and talked to the programs office, took a tour, and they had a room in there that was about a little bit wider than this, but from here back to the wall. They had books on shelves on 3 walls, 3 deep. They probably had 10,000 books in there. And I got to looking at them. It was Harlequin romances, murder mysteries, and stuff like that. And you know, the murder mysteries, you're all familiar with all this. So, you know, it's the little lady in tennis shoes solving crimes, we stand around looking like a bunch of dummies. That's just not good. And the Harlequin romances, that's just not good. And I asked the programs officer, is a corporal. I said, you don't give them this stuff, do you? That's all we had till you started bringing the good stuff. And all I was doing every Monday morning, I take 2 little bags I picked up at the garage sale. So I went back home and wrote out a church bulletin insert. And we had one before that. We had after I got that done, we had a meeting with Jake Miller. Remember Jake Miller? Sheriff Jake Miller. Jake Miller, programs officer and supervisor at the jail. They were having a lot of lawsuits. So he didn't want just Christian books coming in. He wanted 50% Christian, 50% non-Christian. But the non-Christian would be constructive in nature. Clean Western. Okay? Good guy wins, bad guy turns into buzzard bait. Okay? And when I talk like this and give folks that information, say that, you know, in a Clean Western, the good guy always gets the prettiest horse and the fastest woman. I'm getting pretty good at saying that. But anyhow, that's the way we did Brevard County. The only thing we mail out, ship out, is we get some requests and I try to accommodate. But mostly, always ship out is Christian. And constructive type things that you're talking about, we have one publisher. What's the name of that publisher? What's the little penguin symbol?
The symbolism?
Sound Wizard. One of the publishers has a another brand name, and it's more into trying to tell people how to run operations on a Christian basis, and it's called Sound Wizard. So, Joyce Ann worked for Destiny Image Publishing. It's a Christian publisher up in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, for 19 years until I stole her 4.5 years ago. do some of that stuff, we don't do, we just don't have the resources to do it. Now, okay.
The books that you hand out, the different authors, different publishers, do they ever want to check content or just find out what you're bringing in?
It happens all the time. Now, when, we've been at it for 25 years, and the places where we have been dealing with 25 years, that's no concern. New places, it's a concern, and so we have to prove ourselves every day we have to prove. And there was another ministry that wanted to do the same thing that we're doing, and instead of, they couldn't go to the publisher to get the stuff because we were already there. So they just started, and they boasted about how many things that they were doing. And when I called some of those places, yeah, we got something from them. It was a manila envelope full of used daily bread, but they boasted about that. Deceptive. And they are coming along. My goal is to flood every prison and jail in America with good Christian material. And if anybody else wants to do it, fine. Okay? Whatever they can do, have at it. Sure.
Where does your funding come from for the purchase of the books and the shipping?
We always have. We started doing these bulletins, so we've been doing them, I don't know, 20 years. That's where people make donations.
So it's all private?
Yeah. We
Great.
Joyce's daughter is now on board, and we had her go through a little course on how to write grants. Last year was the first year, right? Or 2 years? And she's learning the process. Last year was pretty good. And this year hopefully will be better. It's a learning process and a growing process. Right now we have 2 places to operate from. They're right across the street from each other. So we have an office and a distribution center, and then a warehouse. And neither one of them are big enough. Okay. But when we send books, we keep books on the shelves in the distribution center, and that's where we load them. If we load 40 boxes off of those shelves, we got to go to the warehouse and bring 40 boxes back to repack the shelves. And Joyce has touch. She does it all the time. I guess Jean, she got to help her, Jean. But that's the way it is. I want to tell a story. Last night, when I was thinking about coming down here, it rolled through my head, and then this morning I got up and shaved. Picked up this little piece of soap, okay, soap my beard with that. And that's what the thing started with last night. When we shower, we use a big loaf of soap, big bar. We run that thing down till it's almost gone into the breaking cell. So we use that for the 2 pieces for hand soap. And every morning, when I get up to shave, and I take that little bar of soap and soften my beard, it reminds me of a story. Back about 1969, a lady out of Vandenberg, California, our office secretary, come in one morning and she had a book in her hand, Treblinka. Now I've heard about Auschwitz and a couple of other Nazi concentration camps, but I hadn't heard of Treblinka. It hadn't been on my plate for a major event. And I read Treblinka, and it was awesome. If you've never had a chance to read Treblinka, it's unbelievable. But that started, some of the events that they talk about in that started me on a quest. They would bring people in on boxcars, and the first thing they would do is cut off all their hair, including all the body hair, and stack that hair up, and then haul it off. what in the world do you do with 20 or 30 box cars of human hair? I gotta know that. I have to know. So I kept reading. One of the things they did with it, they made bomb sights, because human hair doesn't change with altitude and air pressure. And another thing they did with it is they made cushions, where they rubberized it to make cushions for tank seats. But in the process of reading, trying to discover what they did with human hair, I read this one story about a communist concentration, it was a communist prison in East Germany. And this girl had been put in there. Her father was an American that went to Germany before the war. The Nazis confiscated all the plants and they kept them. And when the communists come in, they threw her and her family in jail. And she had nothing. Except when she got into the cell, she had a little bar of soap. Just a little piece of soap. And she made that soap last her. It was the most precious thing she owned. And every morning, when I shave, I think about that story. You know? Stories affect us. We make decisions all the time based on stories that happen to us, things people tell us, things we read. And those guys in prisons and jails, if we give them good stuff to read, it'll affect the way they think. It's just that simple. So.
Yeah, have you gotten feedback from prisoners that,
Good question.
you know, have read, you know, and have found Christ, and do they ever get back to you and give them a story of how they're doing now and how this affected their life?
Good question.
That's feedback.
I thought about it while I was talking, then it slipped out of my head. So.
Well, I was
We're
here
getting over 15,000 letters a year from inmates. I guess, well, we a whole bunch of stuff flooded into my head. Don't have to tell it all at the same time. We had a fundraiser last year, right? Was it a fundraiser? With the matching fund? And to do that, we had a thing over in Sarasota that was gonna match all the money we raised, up to $100 a piece is what it was again. Up to 10,000 or something, whatever. So, but we had some people who had written, ex-prisoners who had written books, just happened to come by, so we put them as their testimony as we were trying to get that other thing done. I think there was 4 of them, ex-inmates, who had written books that we're now putting in the prison. And we got on the Viera section, there's I think 9 books from ex-inmates, and we get stories all the time. The one that I wish I'd brought that. We got this one story. The guy was 69 years old, and he said, "Sure, I said dying in jail, a dumb old man." Yeah, got that one. Dumb old man. Joyce sent some coloring books. We had Christian coloring books, where you drawing all you know that stuff. But anyway, it had verses up on the top. And this one girl, I might tell the story wrong. That's okay. It's still a good story. I had this girl had decided that her life was useless, and she was going to kill herself, but she wasn't over the edge yet. She just didn't want to live. And she went into this one jailhouse or prison office and trying to do something else. And one of the guards says, "Don't touch my coffee." And she said, "I didn't touch your coffee." "Yeah, but you looked at it." In other words, she was just trying by the chaplain's office. And they had some of these books there. The chaplain gave her one of these books, these coloring books. So she got several days before she had the termination time. She'd set that date. And so to kill some of that time, she was drawing the book, and there's a little verse on the top. And every time she'd open that book, the verse would get her. And she gave her heart to the Lord.
Wow.
And now she's evangelizing.
Amen.
She sent us a 3-page testimony letter. It's awesome. And that picture that she drew, that she colored in, oh, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Very talented. So,
Bill, what is the name of that chaplain? I believe he's a African-American Haitian that is up here that has a prison ministry.
Prisoner,
Harold back.
Earl.
What's his name?
Errol Beckford.
Beckford.
oh, Beckford, oh yeah, I know Beckford.
You know, there's an example of a person who's done it locally, and he has books and so on, and he, you know, the procedure he has of getting people into a work environment. He provides a bond to people, they have to qualify, get a bond and so on. Do you have any programs that can expand on that to help people get back, in other words, to convince an employer? Obviously today, the job, the need for workers is really tight because of the phenomenal economy. But still, people are reluctant to hire ex-criminals. And Mr. Beckford has a program that allows bonding. Do you have, are you in the mood or in the mode of spreading information that would encourage people to get employment and based upon anything like that?
We don't have anything along that line to do that.
Because we have to get them to show, you know, it's like one thing saying that abortion is bad, but if you're not prepared, like, at Lynchburg, that college, whatever it is, Liberty College, if you're not prepared to help them, they're not gonna get anywhere. And the question is, are there means that nationwide could help, these people? You know, like here in Florida, we're letting, ex-criminals vote. They're getting their voters' rights back. And if we want to encourage them redemption, maybe we need to have more programs that would help them get, encourage an employer like here at Sonny's to hire an ex-con so that they can get some menial work, but at least they're bringing in money.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, and I recognize that that's a serious problem. But we've got our hands full doing what God assigned us to do. And we can't do it. You know, we can't get it all done.
I know you got the answer, I can tell.
We're working, you know, we're working 5 days a week, and you know, we had to stop. I was working 8 days a week, but I had to stop. And, we go to work at, well, we gotta go check the mail at 8:30, so it's 8:30 to 5 o'clock, you know, every day, 40 hours a week. We take off twice a year, go up to Pennsylvania for a couple of days and see Joyce's family, and we go up to Kentucky a couple of days and see my family.
Right.
But other than that, we don't take off on any of the holidays. Well, this year we did. We took off on the 4th of July. And
Are you getting enough
no,
donations to help really sustain your?
No.
You're not?
No.
Okay.
We're not getting enough. But and when the money goes down, we've got to maintain a certain amount in the thing, again, the pot. And when it goes down to that certain amount, we have to stop sending. But God's been providing. You know, we've been at it for 25 years, and you know, as far as a stop, we never stopped. We just kind of slowed down, and He's always provided.
Could you use more volunteers?
We can use dedicated volunteers. Okay. Joyce has trained a couple of ladies to come in and do some office help with us. We've got 25 or 30 people from Great Outdoors Church who comes in on Wednesday, and all they do is stamp books. That takes no training hardly at all. But most of the stuff requires training. And if they're dedicated, we can put them to doing those kind of jobs. If they're gonna be here and gone, it's not worth the training. Sure.
So let's say you've got a Brevard County Jail, you know, you got a big number of books there. Do the prisoners take it with them, and that's why you keep replenishing?
They turn them up. They turn. And they don't take care of it. Now, you know, that's a good question because it triggered something else. Last last year, we counted how many books we put in, we keep record of all this. God told me to stop counting, and I did, but a couple other guys come in and started doing it, so. And then I, you know, well, I'm not counting, there's the data. Last year, we sent over 19,000 books into the Brevard County Jail. That's the best cared for facility in America.
Thank you.
I'm ignoring this side of the house. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Did I say? Let me check. We used to,
When you, right after you said,
we got all this stuff on a computer, and the guy who fixed the computer for us, fixed the program up, him and another fellow, for some reason, we can't figure out how to make this work, because he's gone now. And we normally push a button and it'll print out the states, not the state, all the facilities in a state. And we worked it alphabetically by state, start in Alabama, go to Wyoming, and start all over. And we discovered that about 50% of the places that we had on our computer weren't printing out, and we weren't sending them the mail thing. And when we did get it and sent it to them, about 50% of that didn't come back. And a lot of them said that they sent it, they got it, they did send it back, we didn't get it. And a lot of them, it didn't get there. So now, what I'm doing is getting on the phone, and Joyce is printing out and copying, and it's a manual thing, all the facilities in a state that we're doing. And I've been on the phone for the last year, individually going down to each one of those places. And it's time consuming, and it gets frustrating, but at the same time, I get to talk to all these chaplains, and all the stories that they're too busy to write down come back to me. And it's some awesome stuff. It's just blessed my socks off with the stories from chaplains that tell me what these books have done. So it's just, it's time consuming, and I've had one guy that come in to help, he says, I can't do this, it's too much. And that's, we don't see it anymore. So, that's, you learn things, okay, as you go along. And I don't blame the people. If I hadn't been forced into it, I wouldn't do it either. More questions? Let me see.
Fire force, right?
Huh?
Here, one more last question. Bill Posey informs me that in the districts along the United States border, which of course would be the 4 states, California through Arizona, those 4 states, says that Texas and Arizona and New Mexico. So it says more than half of the arrests in the federal districts more than half the arrests in federal districts were along the border in 2016, and it says that 4 out of 10 defendants charged with federal crime were not U.S. citizens. Does any of your literature, does it involve Spanish language?
Great question, great question. God bless you, brother. Destiny Image just bought out Harrison House, another publisher. And there was, 7 skits? Is that what it was? 7, Destiny Image wants to put their brand on the stuff that they bought from Harrison House, the titles and stuff like that. So right now it's Harrison House brand on it. So they sent us, I think it's 7 skits of Spanish material. So we're putting that stuff out like crazy. And I beg people for Spanish material all the time. I don't remember where I got the data from, but supposedly Hispanics now outnumber blacks in American prison.
Do you know what percentage of those people, of the illegals, actually can read or are illiterate?
Everybody.
Under us or whatever?
Have.
Plus, we send to ICE units also,
Oh,
so we
okay,
have other
good.
foreign languages too.
Good question. There are probably more, but right now, we're doing 32 ICE units. What do they call it? Immigration.
Customs enforcement.
Yeah. So we're doing 32 of those right now. And there's all kinds of languages. There's one one place out in California said that one time he had 62 languages in his place. So, and we're doing them all over, you know, just, you know, and one company that prints the International Bible Society, they print all kinds of different languages. And they're closing down a lot of their operations, they're not doing as much. But they sent us 17 skits of foreign language material. And Joyce and I worked hard to put that together. We built boxes with as much variety in it as we could assemble. And we got about 20 boxes left. So and taking care of the issue. We got one chaplain up in Georgia, Osceola, Georgia. I forgot the county. He comes down, and the last time he come down, picked up, what, 39 boxes of what? I think it's 39 boxes. He brings his truck down there and picks up stuff, takes it back up here. So, and that's a nice unit that he's at, mostly Spanish. But other languages, what? A lot of authors. I think there's about 20 different authors send material to us. Davis Bunn used to live here on the beach out there. He's written 70-some books, Christian books, and he sends us stuff all the time. Francine Rivers out in California sends us books all the time. And she does a lot of foreign language stuff. And or they print her stuff in foreign language. And she'll send us 5 or 6 boxes at a time. They send copies to her, and she just turn around and send it to us. A lot of authors are pumping stuff into it.
Ray, say a prayer for us, if you don't mind.
Say what?
Say a prayer for us.
I will if you will say a prayer for me.
On to it.
Father, we just thank you so much for this group of people here. We just ask you, Father, to bless them all and inspire them all to get involved in the fight. And it is a fight, Father, and we understand it. And we are your warriors. Equip us, embolden us, and encourage us. Keep us going. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ray. That's an incredible story.
I wanted to tell you, next week, we're kind of switching gears a little bit. Our speaker will be Wiley Cooper. Wiley is an ex-director of the F.U.E.L. He is also a principal and a chief compliance officer, whatever that means, for 5 Stones Intelligence. They're an international security company, and one of their specialties is church security. He'll be speaking to us next week on church security.
All right.
So, you guys be generous with Sonny. You're doing us. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Take a pen.
What a great sport, brother.
I'm gonna come see you.